We'll have it.
Yeah, and then we've had a couple kids in the past years go out to is a custodian at the middle school. He just lets us know that respectfully he's retiring on August 27th, 2026. Short and sweet.
Participation. In accordance with Board Bylaws 9011, we invite public participation. We have allotted a total of 30 minutes. Each community member is allowed 2 minutes. Is there anyone from the community who would like to make a public comment? On to the consent agenda. Is there a motion? Second.
Consent agenda.
Motion by Brian, seconded by Nicole. The motion is to approve the consent agenda. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, those in favor, please raise your hand. That is unanimous. Student representatives report.
Hi guys. So hello. We have lots to talk about. So I guess the first thing we could talk about is Image Conference, which is an event held by the Connecticut FFA, which as district president I got to help make. So this happened on March 20th, where students get the opportunity to learn and apply new leadership skills from workshops presented by CT state officers. So a very quick thing of what Image Conference is, it's the Connecticut FFA Image Conference. It's a specialized leadership and career readiness event for juniors and seniors in FFA, focusing on employment skills, professional development, and networking. So this is usually held annually, and it features employment skills, leadership development events, and helps students prepare for professional careers. Today, myself and my team for softball, we had our first home game and we won, which is super exciting. We went against Woodstock, which is a team that's not in our division, they're above, so this was a really huge win for us, and it's an amazing way to start off our home games. We also had an ag mechanics CDE, so 4 students of ours went to New York, where they got to compete with other kids. And there they did welding, electrical, structure, environmental, which was awesome. We don't know where they placed yet, but we're super excited to find out where they placed.
We also just had SATs for juniors. They were tested March 19th, there were 73 students tested. Tomorrow is juniors MGSS. And then AP tests are May 4th through 8th and May 11th through 15th. And PSATs are April 22nd. And then
so we just had our chapter public speaking for FFA. So what this was is an opportunity for our Lebanon FFA students to take an in-classroom assignment, take their public speaking skills they've been learning in class and present it to judges, who can then take it in and explain to students things that went good and went bad, and get to compete against other students who, if won, will go to district public speaking. So for prepared, I won.
Congratulations.
Fantastic.
So we have extemporaneous, which is a thing where students don't know what they're going to talk about, and they pick randomly, and then they have 30 minutes to quickly write what they're going to talk about. And the winner for that was William Wild. And then we had Creed, so we have an FFA Creed, which is a 5-paragraph essay essentially, and we had Kira Strumsky, and she won. So we all get to go do district, and thankfully district is here this year on April 22nd, which is so exciting. We have a new pony to welcome, which is so exciting. So if you have stopped by recently, you may have noticed a new addition. His name is Charlie, and his show name is Azaria Chaser. So he's a 3-year-old American miniature horse who recently joined our ASTE program and is settling in very well. Over the past couple weeks, he's been getting ready to know our other mini, Thor, along with Miss Tromsa's horse, Pearl and Penny, who are here for the rest of the year. And the group has just been having an amazing time out in the field. They love visitors, and they're always welcome to stop by and say hi, but not to feed them. And Charlie is being trained to drive and will also be used for students who are in the equine science class to learn from, like harnessing, ground driving, cart driving. And also this summer, students will be showing him and Thor at AMHA, AMHR, and then the Sheena competitions, and we're so excited to see their progress.
And then prom tickets are having their sale April 20th through April 30th. The last day to buy them is May 1st, and prom is May 15th. April break is happening next week, the 13th through the 17th.
We have Ag Expo, which is on April 29th, which is an exciting time for FFA members to present their SAE projects. They can even bring in some of their SAE projects. So I know that last year we brought horses here for, I think, Taylor Rudo, or that was the year before, which was really awesome. Sometimes people will bring their dogs in, and we get to have students from the school go through and walk through and look at everything, which is so cool. I know some plant kids have in the past brought pickles that they have grown, which is so cool, and it's super exciting to do.
We just had the end of quarter 3 yesterday, so juniors have now moved to their new pauses to start working on their senior projects and starting to get to know their project managers. And seniors have just moved to their new pauses to let those juniors have their pauses that they just got out of. So they're going to start learning how to, like, what the process is, when they need to start, their planning, all of the steps, all of the, like, management for that, and getting to know their project manager better.
Then we had the manufacturing field trip today, where students got to go to Collins and Jules, which was so exciting. I am so ready to hear back on how that trip went. I think it was a really cool, exciting trip, because I know that students always really love these field trips that schools held like this. So,
And this Friday, April 10th, there's the Eastern field trip for the literary contest, where students have had the chance to submit any type of work, from poems to essays, any type of thing. And they're going to get a tour around Eastern with a guide. They're also going to be put into groups, and they're going to have a teacher that they're going to do like a mini class with, and just get to know that teacher and learn some of the teaching styles that some of the teachers there have. They also have lunch there. There's also chances for them to read out their work to an audience if they want to. Then there's some people that do get rewards, which is first, second, and third. And then there's also honorary mentions that get mentioned out before people can read out their works, and sometimes after. So that's going to be really fun.
we also have the Dream It, Be It field trip, which is happening on April 21st. So this is another field trip. Obviously, we have lots of field trips this month, but I think each one is going to be amazing, and that a lot of kids are going to have fun, and then then we're having the Connecticut Highway Safety Assembly, which is happening on April 20th. This is for all grades, and this is obviously extremely important.
And that's all we have for you tonight.
It's a lot of great information.
That's awesome. Thank you all.
Questions? Remember? I want to go meet Charlie.
Where's Tom?
I was just gonna ask.
There's more to come for that for our May meeting, because we don't really know much yet. We haven't talked about it a lot yet in our class officers. We're going to probably talk about that this upcoming Friday, but to be determined.
Right.
Awesome, thank you. Okay. Reports of Board of Ed subcommittees. I'm just going to go around the table like we usually do. Carrie, superintendent evaluation.
No report for this meeting, but we have come to the time again of superintendent evaluation for end of year, so I will be sending out the emails with the rubric and everything for everyone to get information back to me, and or / having a meeting before the next full month meeting for people to come and talk in person about any feedback, and that will be hopefully like really late April or beginning of May before the next meeting. So look for an email.
Thank you. Danelle, strategic plan and school committee.
We had a long meeting tonight. I didn't quite finish our agenda, but the two topics we covered thoroughly were the focused schoolwork at LES, and we talked about what things they're doing to help the students and the teachers, all the initiatives, I guess, and the support. And then the second item we focused on was the LMS curriculum. We talked about the curriculum cycle and also how we've made changes in the last few years and how we're continuing to do that. So the third item was LMS scheduling. We'll have to reschedule to get to that topic.
Thank you. Nicole, facilities.
Oh, okay, I will do the second part of our facilities.
You guys could probably bounce off each other since.
Or do you want to go first, Rachel, so you can talk about finance?
Finance and facilities had a joint meeting tonight.
Okay, so we had a joint meeting. The first agenda was next year's school budget. And we just went over the recommended, or the changes that the Board of Finance made that will now go to the town meeting and for feedback. And they get to meet again and potentially go to referendum. I'm sure Superintendent will go over all of those numbers in his presentation, so we got that.
Okay, and then the third item was the DRIP funds. We received, or we are receiving $66,998 from the state. John and Andy got together to come up with some possible solutions. Anything from taking care of remaining balances for major projects to items on the capital lists. Then we talked about the parking lot. So we awarded, after 14 vendors came and did their bids, Premier Seal Coating was awarded the job at, I wrote this down, $99,281.04. So it's slightly under the amount that we projected, and so with any overages, there's a possibility to do some curb repair, and that comes with a 2-year warranty. And then finally, the utility tax vehicle, which was also on the capital list. This will be going to MB Tractor and Equipment at the amount of $28,176.18 with a 2-year warranty. It is available immediately and will be used primarily for facilities.
And those last two items are action items for tonight, so we'll talk about those when we get there. Brian, safety and security.
No report this month.
Elizabeth, negotiations.
Subcommittee met tonight and discussed progress negotiations with the custodians.
And policy.
Policy also met tonight. Andy presented 4 policies with just technical edits, and then the group also discussed the student dress.
Econ remains vacant. Governance, I don't have anything except for the reminder that the public hearing is on Monday, April 20th, and then the Board of Finance meeting is on Tuesday, April 21st. School renovation, our school building committee, it was, a state statute was found that requires a seat on the building committee for the Board of Education chair. And so once that was figured out, I have now been as chair. The chair has been invited to attend meetings. So the next meeting is April 21st, same night as the Board of Finance meeting. So, do you have any updates on that? I don't think there's any updates in the last meeting. So. Administrators' reports. Those are in your packets, starting on page 16, and also a lovely printout here. Don't judge the picture on the back. It's just. Would anybody like to add to the reports, or are there any questions from board members? Okay.
Could I just add one quick thing? We had 7 students that have applied to work at Electric Boat, seniors, for, right after graduation. 2 of them have already been offered jobs by EB, starting after they graduate. the other 5 are actually being interviewed tonight. So we could have more that are working there. 7 kids with a class of like 72, that's like 10% of our class could be working at EB in the not too distant future. And one of the things I wanted to point out, if you have Instagram, the official Lyman Athletics page has the game-winning home run video from tonight's game from Kayla Hawkins. She hit a walk-off home run tonight to win the game and beat Woodstock Academy, which is something we have not beaten them in a good while. So if you want, you can see that.
Awesome.
Cassidy, did you have an update?
Yes.
Did somebody else get a job?
Yes, there's now 3 that have jobs.
Wow.
Someone just had their interview and they got accepted.
See?
Are they doing group interviews? Or like, how are so many people going tonight?
Well,
Is it just like,
if EB told us that if we had 10 kids, that they would actually come here and interview.
oh, okay.
So EB has been going around to different high schools in the region and doing like interviews right at those schools. Because we didn't have that magic 10 number, our kids, I don't know if they went to Crystal Mall tonight. I think they might have been going to there for their interviews.
Gotcha.
Nice.
Exciting.
Yeah, it is, it's fantastic.
Great stuff.
May I ask if you know the positions that they were hired for?
So the one that Cassidy, that you're talking about, I don't know about that one. So the other 2, one was accepted into their welding program. He has to do some classes in Rhode Island, and then he's going to be hired there. The other student was hired for like drafting and design.
And then there was another one for pipe fitting.
Rachel.
I just want to comment, I went to the play here, it was absolutely amazing. And then the play again at the middle school was also wonderful.
Agreed. Any other comments, questions, additions?
I think the communication from athletics has been great. Astounding, should I say? And the Instagram page is fun.
Now I need to.
Videos.
Awesome. All right, thank you. Report of superintendent.
All right, thank you. So the first one we'll touch on is the standing agenda item on the town surplus. So the camera installation is scheduled for next week during break, so we'll get some of that going. Hopefully we'll have an update to provide you in a future Board of Ed email, and then again at the May meeting. Tonight, we'll be acting to award the parking lot crack ceiling seal coat and line straight work, and then that would happen over the summer. And as we've communicated before, the track replacement will be done over the summer. There's no date set yet. We are coordinating with our athletic director and trying to work around spring sports schedules. We're hopeful that we're going to have a lot of track athletes who will be competing in state and beyond, which would require maybe a little bit later of a start date, but at the same time, we don't want to push that project into the following school year. So that's where we are with town surplus. Any questions on those projects? All right, the 26-27 budget, the 3.66% superintendent proposal adopted by the Board of Ed was presented to the Board of Finance. During their deliberations after the presentation and their series of meetings, they've made a proposal to cut $100,000 from the Board of Education operating budget and $146,000 roughly from the capital projects, so that our new allocations that are proposed by the Board of Finance for SIP would be $130,000, $85,000 in technology, and $50,000 in athletics. And as Dawn shared, the public hearing is on the 20th of this month. Any questions about the 26-27 budget? All right. We do have some celebratory and good news as far as accreditation goes. Congratulations to Jess in the elementary school for getting accreditation plus from NIAC. They put a lot of work into the preparation and did a great job welcoming the site visit. We already got that report. It's pretty detailed, so I'm not going to give you all the nitty-gritty pieces there. But accreditation is the mark of quality and the standard for early education, and we're proud to once again have it at the elementary school. And again, kudos to everybody who was involved in that. The high school also had their NEOSC visit, and while we don't have any official news or formal report yet, they did meet with the staff at the end of their visit and went through the priority areas for continued growth and instructional highlights that were observed. Specifically, some things they said was a warm and welcoming environment where students feeling safe, supported, and known by staff was evident. They could tell right away we had strong relationships and a positive climate and culture. Clear commitment to supporting the whole child, including social emotional development and peer support structures. Complimented us on the implementation of the portrait of the graduate elements, our effective MTSS structures, and having strong safety protocols. So if that is in any way evidence of what we'll see in the formal report, I'm feeling pretty confident and happy for Jay and Sue with their leadership, and kudos to the entire high school team. So two big steps in terms of accreditation for our district. No.
Maybe Dawn's gonna say this, but they met with different groups, like students and staff, and 3 of us board members met with them. And I just wanna say that the woman in charge of it started with, she looked at all of us and she said, "This is a special place.
Aw,
I hope you know that."
that's nice.
So that was like a starting comment.
Yeah, it was nice. Rita was here, I was here when they were doing the kind of post-visit breakdown, and that's something I said to the team too when Jay and Sue gave me an opportunity to say a couple quick words. I said, when you're here every day and you live and breathe this place, it's special. But to have someone come for a couple days and be able to have all these glowing remarks, or to visit the elementary school for a couple hours and be able to put together this detailed positive report, it's definitely reaffirming and makes you feel good. All right, and last for my report is a donation to the elementary school. I want to read a letter that we had from former elementary school principal Bonnie Hanna. So she writes to Jess, "Dear Jess, my many years at Lebanon schools and especially my time at LES as principal encouraged my decision to offer support for the school after my dear husband John Hanna passed away. You may remember that he spent time working with the reading teachers and enjoyed both interaction with faculty as well as observing students and teachers. In memory of John, I'd like to offer $1,000 this year and perhaps similar amounts in future years. Please let me know what the check should be made out, who the check should be made out to, and I'll get it in the mail quickly. Again, thank you for taking care of this and congratulations on your principal leadership." So wanted to bring it to the board. It's something that per policy, it's something I can accept, but I thought it was a special moment that, again, shows how special this place is, that long after people have gone on, they feel like they want to give back. So, thank you to Bonnie, and we appreciate the donation.
Yes, thank you. Finance report.
All right, so speaking of our operating budget first, right now, as of this report, we have roughly 30% remaining of the budget, and the 5-year historical average for this time of year is about 25. So we're in a little bit better shape than we have been in the last 5 years. We did get reimbursement from EB for the welding equipment to the tune of $41,000. And we continue to see that deficit balance in line 510 for pupil transportation, which again reflects the outplacement transportation cost and for students that are receiving their education elsewhere. So looking in decent shape for operating. Don't want to be overly optimistic, but as the months continue to tick away, and being above that average is a good spot to be. Non-lapsing, there's no changes to the report.
Any questions or comments for Andy? Okay, move on to action items. Action item number 1, act on the letter of retirement. Is there a motion?
motion to receive, to receive?
Accept.
Accept the letter of retirement.
Second.
Motion by Nicole, seconded by Danelle. All those in favor, please raise your hand. That is unanimous. Okay, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 second readings. Is there a motion?
Make a motion that we accept policy 4020, 5018, 5020, 6001, and 6020.
Second.
Motion by Brian, seconded by Nicole. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please raise your hand. That is carried. Danelle, Nicole, Brian, Dawn, Rachel, Elizabeth, and Christopher. All those opposed, please raise your hand. That is Carl. Any opposed? Motion passes. Action item number 7, act on awarding the bid for school parking lot crack sealing, seal coating, and line striping.
Make a motion to award the bid for the school parking and lot crack sealing, seal coating, and line striping to Premier Seal Coating of the amount of $99,281.04.
Is there a second?
I second that.
Motion by Brian, motion by Nicole, seconded by Brian. Is there any discussion? And if you're looking for it, it's on page 83 of your board packet.
I do have concern that we've only used one form of reference for this particular potential vendor. We haven't used other districts to find out their feedback of other potential coating companies. I never feel comfortable accepting a low bid on anything. It always concerns me that there's something that's not going to be done according to, if there was a scope of work that was written, then we have a leg to stand on. If there was not, then even if there's a 2-year warranty, what does that 2-year warranty cover? It needs to be more specific as to its coverage. That's my concerns.
Will you remind all of the board members about the process, not the process, but like the timeline of paving?
Like of our cycle that we had
That we-
originally
yeah.
planned to do?
Mhm.
Yeah,
Hopefully
so.
get back to.
Yeah, so prior to this surplus funding being awarded, and really the reason for that is we had put it into our capital plan each of the past 2 years to try to be on a cycle where each parking lot was having this work done on a 3-year cycle. So, previous to that cycle being developed, it was just somewhat haphazardly being identified, like, oh, that needs work, and we were falling behind significantly. So we were trying to stay on a cycle, but the funding wasn't available, so we were unable to do the past 2 years. We have not been able to do any of this, so this year with the surplus funds, we were gonna do all 3 schools and then hopefully be back on that cycle.
I had asked during the subcommittee meeting of our facilities director if this scope of work was the same, if every company that bid had to bid on the same scope. The answer to that was yes. So the second part of that is, while I understand the hesitation many times in the low, or the company that may bid the lowest, if the scope of work was the same, identified, and they all bid on the same project, then I'm willing to accept the low bid. Primarily because it's fiscally responsible, 1. 2, provided every company had the opportunity to bid the same, across the board, you know, it's not unusual for us to get bids that are all over the map, and this is no exception.
I also would like to add that is it Ram High School?
It was Ram.
It's Ram, the district. Okay, Ram High School is a pretty prestigious district, and they've used them not only once, but more than once.
It was actually Ram High School and the middle school.
Right, and with happiness, with like,
Yep.
they've been pretty happy with them. So, I mean, I would totally trust their judgment on this company.
Probably they're calling them back to come back again.
Correct.
Carl?
So, couldn't help but pick up on the word haphazardly that Andy so kindly threw out there. So it makes me wonder about the whole facilities program in general, like how do we manage rooftop units, boiler maintenance? Is there a system that we use, or is it just we wait for something or look for a leak, or, you know, we look for steam traps, or how do we do that?
So we have to speak to the agenda item, so you can speak to that specifically regarding
Parking lot?
parking lots, yeah.
Yeah.
So is there concern reports that come in from the parking lot?
Is there concern reports?
Right, so how do you determine where there's potholes, where there's cracks,
Yeah.
where there's uneven surfaces?
Yeah, and let me go back. Haphazardly may not have been the best term. I don't want to speak negatively upon, you know, former facilities directors or superintendents. Would not have been as strategic as I'd like to be. And in terms of the inspection and the determination on the work that needs to be done, that relies on, you know, the facilities director. I'm not out there making that call. You know, John would be the one to monitor the cracks and the lines and, you know, make the call, and that's how we kind of got to this through observation, that after 2 to 3 years, these are getting to a point where if you're not repairing the cracks, then you're potentially looking at cutting out areas and having to repave them, or doing whole new parking lots, which at that point, that cost is going to skyrocket.
So is there a measurement system?
Measurement in terms of how much the cracks have grown?
Well, how do you determine where the work needs to be done?
Yeah, that's a good question. John, I don't know if there's a specific,
So they look at cracks that are, I think, a 1/4 inch or wider for the actual crack sealing. And then anything under a 1/4 inch, they would look to just rely on the seal coating to help seal those up.
And what's the frequency of that?
Of what?
The measurement of the cracks?
How often do you check them?
yeah, and I don't think that would be feasible to measure every crack in the parking lots across the district. I would confidently say that's not something we've done. And that's why we rely on, you know, the professionals when they come out to provide us with the quote to identify those areas.
If I may, this is also the reason that this board, along with this superintendent, has worked to schedule these things on a more frequent basis, more regularly, thus Andy mentioning the every 3 years. I believe the companies in the past, and I know that John mentioned that their work comes with a 2-year warranty. That seemed a little too often to us, that we were doing a 3-year rotation. Unfortunately, during budget crunches, that's one of the things that fell off. So it was imperative to us to get these parking lots back on a schedule so that we didn't have larger issues coming up in the future. And that was also a comment by the Board of Finance and the Board of Selectmen, that they wanted to proactively stay ahead of this versus reactively. So the idea is to hopefully get us back on a schedule.
So there is no real process of measurement. Decide it needs to be done at some point based on a 3-year frequency.
what process would you like to see have done? Do you want him to go out there like every day and measure cracks? Do you think?
Well, I would think a written process that would define what you're looking for and the frequency that you look at it would be the process.
If I might, two things. We're not asphalt experts. That's not our role, nor is that what I would personally, our one employee, the board's one employee is a superintendent. However, if I were just to step outside that role for 1 sec, I don't know that if I were the superintendent would want my facilities person out there. They're not an expert on everything either. So we rely on others to help us with that. You know, based on the time that I've been on the board and the known issues in the parking lot that we had, 2 years seemed a bit too frequent, 3 years seemed about right. We had gone up to 5 before, way too long. And so.
John, how much would it cost to replace an entire parking lot if we didn't maintain the crack ceiling?
I wouldn't even really begin to guess.
Millions?
Probably millions.
We haven't gotten a quote for that, so
Interestingly,
that's
to
probably-
do a driveway, it's like 10 grand,
It would be a lot.
So I think,
like at a home.
the bid that we have on the table is the lowest one. It's shockingly lower than some of them. I think that's my concern. I mean, I usually go with the cheap thing myself anyway, but it has a 2-year warranty like all of them. And this is, if we're on a 3-year rotation or so, it seems prudent that we're doing this to maintain what we have, to take care of what we have the best that we can with the finances that we have. I'm a little nervous about choosing the lowest one because it's significantly lower than the rest. But if we have a neighbor nearby that gives their recommendation for it, it's not like this is the first time they've done it before. And are we going with 1 coat versus 2?
We would go with 2 coats.
Okay, so it's 99,000. And that still has a 2-year warranty.
If I could just come back to Carl's point, I think that, you know, I'm always personally looking for ways to improve, and, you know, I can work with John and we can, you know, be more mindful and have a more specific protocol. I think we lean into this contractor to give us recommendations for, you know, how often to measure and what specifics would be something that we think we should be on the lookout for. But yeah, I think we could grow our process there.
Danelle, I'm sorry, I cut you off. So.
No, you're fine. This is like kind of a second question. I noticed myself in driving through the parking lot, especially at Lyman, a lot of the curbs have been damaged. Is that, those repairs are not covered by this, I assume? This is just crack sealing. That would be something that our winter maintenance people.
So we talked about that a little bit in the facility subcommittee meeting, that with the amount that we would have left from the surplus, that we could consider seeing if we could get some curbing done. That we do have language within the snow and ice control contract for curbing that's been damaged by that particular contractor. They will do some of that repair, but there's repairs that need to be done to curbing that are not due to the plows.
So that makes 2 questions for me. The first is, what's my question? Well, one was, how do you determine if the snow removal people?
That's a year-to-year observation. We do those walkthroughs before they start the work, and then we do walkthroughs during the winter and after. So we're able to identify most of the damage that's done by the contractor.
Okay. I guess my other question is just kind of a contemplative one. Why are these other ones so much higher? $239,000 versus 99.
I'm not gonna speak for the contractors as to why they bid the way they bid. There is a rule within the state that if a job is over 100,000, that it does go to prevailing wage. Prevailing wage does double the salary of the workers, which may have driven some of those prices way up. I can't really speak for the contractors why they bid the way they bid.
Well, and just quickly to that, 2 of the ones that we did not move forward, one had labor costs that were around 30,000, and then another one had labor costs that was over 60. So I mean, to John's point, with the prevailing wage and it kicking to such a higher figure, The one that I was referenced was under 100,000. This one was over, and a driver, the biggest driver was the labor cost.
Yep.
And one further question. So when you contacted the contractors to come and give a quote for said project, who wrote the scope? Was there a material specification that it was X product, 2 coats with an approximate mill thickness of? How is that all determined so that they all played on the same field?
So we discussed the product and the coats. So within the RFP, I had put 2 coats down. I had asked them to provide us a quote for 1 coat along with a second coat, so that if we chose to go with a single coat based on price, we would be able to go with the lesser product. The products that we discussed were discussed during the walkthrough. You know, we used the rubberized material for the crack sealing. They're going to throw the dust that they put over it so that it's not tacky right away, so that people can't drive on that. And then we also discussed the hot. They're going to use the blocks of tar that they puts in the hot machine that will be dispersed with a wand. Some actually have trucks that they might disperse it with a truck. Their dispersing method was kind of up to them. If they wanted to use a truck, they could. If they want to use a wand, they could. But all of that was discussed at the walkthrough. Any questions they had afterwards, I sent the communication answers to them, to all of them via email. So it was always apples to apples. It's not like one person got different information versus the other.
You didn't actually write a spec on, I don't know the brands and the compounds, but that wasn't given as this is what to be quoted upon.
I did not. So I did not feel comfortable speccing that out as a non-asphalt professional. 98% of the materials they use, though, come from the same vendor. I did speak with Dean Hunterford at the town, and he kind of pointed me in a little bit of a direction, but I kind of leaned on them a little bit for the type of material. But it was all spoken that it was going to be the hot, heated material to 375 degrees to be applied with a sprayer, and then the rubberized crack sealant with the dust over the top of it, and then to use all DOT certified striping paint.
I just know that there can be vast difference across materials.
Yeah.
That's, maybe that's how they're earning a lower, achieving a lower price. Thank you.
Any questions? Seeing none, motion is on the floor. Again, motion by Nicole, seconded by Brian. All those in favor, please raise your hand. That is Carrie, Danelle, Nicole, Brian, Dawn, Rachel, Carl, and Elizabeth. Those opposed, please raise your hand. Any abstentions? Motion passes. Okay, action item number 8, act on awarding bid for utility task vehicle. Is there a motion?
Motion to award the bid for the utility task vehicle to M&B Tractor and Equipment to the amount of $28,176.18.
Motion by Nicole, seconded by Brian. Any discussion? And this is on page 84 of your packet. Okay.
Not knowing the actual statute of only having a sole bidder, is that an approved process? That there's nothing to compare this against? And I know you mentioned earlier that you had reached out to other bidders that are within the New London County, and you hadn't gotten anybody back, but I guess I'm a little concerned that only one would bid it, and why?
Brian.
I can only say that unfortunately or unfortunately, on the state side of the house, it happens, I shouldn't say it more often than not, but it happens more often than we'd like or you'd think, that we end up only with one vendor that ends up bidding. And in some cases, while I can't, speak to this one specifically, they, some don't like doing work with municipalities. Some don't like, what's the name, vendors, what's the, no, you use vendor sort, what do you use for, in the portal? Like,
Sourcewell?
Well,
yeah, Sourcewell. So, some don't like these procurement portals. Honestly, Chris, I wish there was a rhyme or reason why there was. John did put it out, and normally we would hope for free bid. Sometimes it comes back to, unfortunate. I will say too that, given what we originally received a quote for like 3-ish years ago, 22,000 and change with escalation over the last 3 years, probably right around $3,800 in escalation.
Yeah, I don't think the price is ridiculous. I'm just
Yeah, no, and
concerning
I
that.
agree. Normally, we absolutely, and Andy can tell you about the toils and troubles that we put him through for procurement stuff. But like I said, sometimes it's the nature of the beast.
The bid process, I'm not sure about, it says on March 30th, so the bid was open March 30th, and then closed when? Like, then and there, or?
Yes.
And these have to go in like newspapers and things like that.
It was posted in the paper and on online.
Also, what's this vehicle being used for? Is it to replace the golf cart that we had?
It's gonna be used for, athletics, and this one is just primarily for facilities. And that one has to be repaired, that other
I
one.
was gonna say, I thought that one had to be replaced because it was on its way out.
It's gonna be-
It is on its way out. We were able to put some time into it and get it running, but this is a machine that's gonna be used primarily for facilities, for our day-to-day operations with prepping fields and, maintaining the grounds and things like that.
So knowing that you can go between here and the middle school without having to load it on and move it, how do you tend to the needs at the elementary school?
The vast majority of the needs at the elementary school are actually part of our landscape contract. We predominantly maintain the athletic surfaces, baseball, softball, soccer, track and field, trash on those complexes and things like that. It's for spring setup, fall setup, breakdown of both the seasons. So the machine would predominantly be used here. If there was ever a need in the future to bring it down there for vast work, we do have a trailer that we can transport it with.
Well, you'd be using it to move equipment around, maybe bring field material on, such like that. So I know you've got a number of fields down at the elementary school, and
We actually don't maintain those. That's part of the town.
Those are town fields.
Those are town fields.
Comments? Questions? Seeing none, all those in favor, please raise your hand. That is Carrie, Nicole, Brian, Dawn, Rachel, Carl, Elizabeth, and Christopher. All those opposed? No. Any abstentions? Motion passes. Next, anticipated executive session. Is there a motion to enter into executive session?
So moved.
Second.
So the motion is to enter into executive session for the purpose of discussing a